like it's all turned into Sesko or Gyökeres because of the way the club has been run over the years.
Yeah.
Because of the division, because what the Sesko stuff, what I don't understand about it, right, is I think he's got potential. I think he could be a top striker, but could be at this stage not really hearing that. Now he might hit the ground running, big him up. If he signs for us, I back him, right? But Gyökeres is the one that is scoring.
Yeah.
Or Osimhen's the one that scored goals on the way to league titles or cups. They're the ones that have had some experience, along the way, internationally, Champions League and so on. Did we keep our powder dry in January for Sesko? Because that seems like it is the reality. Now, that's not Sesko's fault, but look at the club. You haven't won anything for 5 years. You haven't won the league for 21 years. You have, push comes to shove, you need to sign someone. But the reasoning behind not maybe taking the necessary risk with maybe Sesko and paying 80 if you had to, or going 60 on Watkins because there's an opportunity this season to win something. The club would rather wait on a 21-year-old Slovenian kid in Germany that hasn't scored 15. They'd rather say, let's see how this season goes. Let's not, because we're going to get him.
Yeah.
Maybe it was Haaland.
You'd wait.
That Man City maybe waited a year and a bit for after Aguero had a couple of years or whatever it was. You can understand that, and more so because they win stuff around it and before it. So you could understand maybe a transition period where we're waiting for our striker. Look at our club. Why? Because the difference really financially between winning the league and actually, finishing second, third, fourth, it's fine margins in terms of when we're talking the millions. So they don't care. And the evidence is there, year in, year out. I always said, get us back to square one. Arteta did that. Big him up for that. Because square one is an FA Cup here and there, which has been 5 years off now, but Champions League football, some hope that we can do something. But what do we do from square one? Last 3 windows. That's where square one started.
Do you know what we need as a fan base, right? We need collective honesty. To me, that's the only way we move forward. So there's fans online that probably didn't want Sesko, but now we're being linked with Sesko. All of a sudden he's become a lot. There's compilations everywhere. I've seen people calling him the new Zlatan, all kind of madness like that. I'm like, people told me we need to be in the Champions League. Why? So we can buy the best players. Well, we're desperate for a striker. So I expect the club to try and buy the best strikers available. The guys who are at the top of the tree in terms of availability, like you said, your Osimhen's, your Gyökeres, you're now going to say no to them for a prospect, because that's what he is. Now, don't get me wrong, he might come here and be a beast and different league, more service, you never know. But you're rolling the dice, and big clubs aren't supposed to do that. You're supposed to get the best available, and if it doesn't work, you say, well, I went for the best that was available. Arsenal are still acting like we're in the Europa League, like Zubimendi, and like he might be a good player, so I haven't got a problem with that. But Sesko, I feel like the striker situation, we've waited years for this. Since Aubameyang, we got Jesus, he wasn't prolific. Havertz went up there. This signing could be pivotal to our season. A lot of people are saying, bro, if it's Sesko, we ain't winning the title. How do you expect a 21, 22-year-old that is at Leipzig? They haven't even qualified for the Champions League. He's got 13 goals. He actually scored less goals this season than the season before. Yeah, with more games. Expect him to come to the Prem and lift Arsenal to a title in his first year in England.
And that's not fair to pressure on him to do that.
It's not. It's actually not.
At this stage of his... But look, again, as you're talking, as I'm thinking, it just... Go back, what is it, 20 years now? Maybe, 18 years? Wenger used to say a lot in the Emirates era, we're only going for world-class talent. Like Arteta said at the beginning of this window, we're back to attract the best players, right? And then we're linked to Sesko. When Wenger used to say that, sometimes we'd get a Nasri, but at that time, I kind of liken Nasri. Let's say when we signed Nasri, he was a young prospect, he was doing his thing, but we also knew he needed time to bed into a side that at that time, I forgot what year it was, but at that time we had hopes that we could go win the league still.
Yeah.
Was it 08, 09?
08, 09.
Yes, and so on. But we bought a player that's young, that needs time to gel. By the time he gels, a few more have left. So by the time he feels like he's good enough, he looks around and thinks, I got to leave as well. Yeah. It feels like it's similar wording and then similar actions. Because the only world-class official talent we've actually ever gone for is Ozil, Sanchez, Aubameyang. Really, that are primed in their, European level. They've done it. I know Rice is big money, but them three were different. I mean, even Ozil was different to them other two. I mean, all this talk, it just never transfers into reality for us, Dan. But it's been a very negative show. I'm not about to spin it to a positive because there's not really a positive to spin it to apart from... Do I have any notes? Nah, there isn't one there.
Look, man, it's just the way it is at the moment. Let's hope it picks up in the next coming weeks, because it could do. There's a way to do that, and that's to get the guys over the line. The only positive and the thing that I'm reassured about this summer that we haven't had before now is Andrea Berta, right? So if Andrea Berta is serious and he uses his experience and the CV that says I can get these players in, I'm excited by that. I'm not excited by Kroenke or Arteta or any of the previous regime personally, right? So that's the one it is. I think the links to Zubamendi and Sesko in particular are not anything to do with Andrea Berta. I don't look at those signings thinking they're his signings. They will definitely be signed for Arsenal in his regime and in his way that he started. But those are the two names that I expected to see in an Arsenal shirt because of Arteta, not because of Andrea Berta. So I won't be kind of judging him on either of those signings. I will be when the next one comes in the door. For example, let's be positive and say we're going to sign Rodrigo and Eze. I just think of two names.
Yeah.
I'd be like, Burton knows what he's doing then. I'm not saying it's got nothing to do with Arteta, because I'm sure he's going to have a say in it, right? But Burton will be judged on the business that he does outside of Zubamendi and Sesko for me, because they're the two that I expect to come through the door now. That's what we keep hearing, right? I'll say this, you mentioned like past stuff. We've signed better players when we were in the Europa League than the Champions League, if you think about it. Because since the Champions League, there's only really been Timber and Rice that I look at and go, wow. Because Havertz, Raya was all right, Marino, Calafiori, and then there's been bad ones on top of that. But if you go back to Wenger and Arteta and Emery times when we were in the Europa League trying to get back into the Champions League, yeah, we didn't spend a lot of money on Tierney and Gabriel, but they were pretty good signings, right? So was Saliba, so was Thomas Partey, so was Aubameyang, so was Lacazette, so was Martin Odegaard.
Yeah.
I'm looking now thinking, where are those sort of signings coming from the Champions League? That's time to go now. Now, you said about waiting in January and going for it in the summer. I'll be cool if that was Isak. I'll be cool.
Yeah.
I don't want us to be waiting and unveiling Sesko. That's not a needle mover. I don't think Manchester City and Liverpool go, oh my God.
Yeah.
Scary hours, yeah.
They don't do that. Whereas we're right now going, Florian Wirtz to Liverpool, Reinders to Man City. I don't want to be hearing these names. Yeah. My fancy is to go. And the Sesko one just doesn't excite me. It's underwhelming for me. But I hope I'm wrong. I've been wrong before with signings. I think we all have, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So if it is going to be Sesko, we've obviously got to, as they also like to say, get behind him.
Mikel wants him. We've got to want him.
We've got to want him. So, of course, I don't ever judge anybody until they wear the shirt.
Yeah.
I did it with Ramsdale. I thought, what the hell are we getting him for? And he kind of proved that he was an all right goalkeeper for us, right? Yeah. So I do the same with Sesko, but it's not the one that excites me, boys. I can't lie.
And I tell you what, if we do buy Sesko, the left winger's got to be elite.
Yeah.
You can't be getting some Jamie Gittins or someone because then you're putting two prospects into the front three.